Hello and welcome to a special presentation from In the Money Media. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatale, here to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Blessed Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. We hope it's a great one, and it's especially going to be great if you're a horse player. Of course, the day of concern, Christmas is great and all, eat the roast, what have you, but December 26th, Boxing Day, Santa Anita Park's traditional opening day. What a card we have for you. And we're going to have thoughts on all of it over the course of this show. Next half hour or so, 6 stakes races to talk about and some major equine star power. This show is brought to you by our friends at Santa Anita Park, back for the winter spring season. And it's going to be a great one, racing all weekend long. We did have a post time update Saturday, going to be starting at 11:30 local. That time had changed a little bit, 2:30 Eastern. Obviously, this card we're talking about, 11 a.m. is when it starts, 2 o'clock back on the East Coast, where I'll also be on television with our friends overseas, Sky Sports Racing. Looking forward to getting an opportunity to work with some colleagues and talk about this fantastic racing. As I mentioned, lots of stars on the card. And on this show, we've got some stars as well. We bring them to you now, starting with one of the most popular guests in the history of the In the Money Media Network, this Players Podcast format, 10 years old now, if you can believe it, and few have gotten more downloads and listens than the man in purple, back from the ski slopes. Happy to join us here today, I hope. He's pro player Duke Matties. Duke, how are things?
Hey, Pete, everything's all right. Yeah, I just got back from Lake Tahoe last night. It was not the greatest snow, but it was good enough. I'm not the greatest skier either, so it doesn't really matter. They go down the hill and right to the bar, so that's all I know.
The après ski, the most important part of the ski, like the gallop out can be the most important part of the race. The next man has outdone himself in terms of his outfit today. He joins us with his awesome Cat Dad Christmas jumper, a little calico cat, it appears, on the jumper. I speak of a man who we collaborate with an awful lot during the Santa Anita season, very respected in terms of his opinion. He's given you a lot of winners on here over the course of the last few years. He's also a key cog in the marketing department over there at Santa Anita. He's Jeff Chapman. Chappy, happy holidays.
Happy holidays, gentlemen. And I'll tell you what, holy cow, what a nice card on opening day. I can't wait. What a terrific sequence we're going to go over. And it's good to be back. Good to get the meet started, and I'm ready to roll.
Let's, before we dive into the card, Chappy, talk a little bit more about some of the new things from a wagering perspective we have going on. The $2 pick 6 continuing with low takeout. We've also got the coast-to-coast bet is going to be back on days when Gulfstream or Santa Anita are both running. But that's not all. Which of these new wagers are you most excited about?
Yeah, like you mentioned, obviously the pick 6 back to the $2 traditional bet once again, which we're really excited about. We used to have those giant pools in Southern California. And then we've got some of the new bets we introduced and added a little wrinkle to it with the $3 all-turf pick 3, which is the low 15% takeout. We've got the $3 late pick 3, also with the low 15% takeout, and the $5 late double, once again with the low player-friendly 15% takeout. And as you mentioned, Pete, the coast-to-coast pick 5 when Santa Anita and Gulfstream are running, also with the 15% takeout. So all those bets included with the traditional pick 6 back to the $2. It should be a great wagering menu for all the players here.
Duke, as a pro player, I'm sure you appreciate some of the efforts Santa Anita's made in terms of takeout. What do you think about this return to the $2 pick 6? Is that something that's going to be on your radar every day, or just when there's carryovers, or how are you looking to approach that bet this meet?
Yeah, we'll see how the people react to that. I like the idea because Santa Anita struggles with field size some days, and some days you got to go to the $2 thing just so that you get some good payouts. I mean, I do like the dollar. I like the $1 pick six nowadays. I think $1 is good enough, but I think at Santa Anita, the $2 will work because I think it'll carry over more with a $2 one.
That's the idea, I think, and it'll be fun having those hopefully big carryovers to chase, just like in the old days. Let's dive into this card, boys. Starting off with the first stakes race. Great to see Santa Anita naming a stakes race for Lafitte Pincay Jr. Seems like a move that's time has come, if not overdue. We kick off fairly modest but competitive field of 8 runners. It's the appetizer in this stakes laden card. Duke, is this a race you have much opinion? What do you see yourself doing in here? Might you get involved in this $2 pick six on opening day?
Yeah, sure. Love to play a $2 pick six on opening day. Santa Anita, this is a great race, by the way. I mean, super competitive. I mean, like 8 horses that I think I can't throw out more than 1 or 2. So I got a lot of things on a lot of horses here, but I think I land on Katona. I like Katona with a little bit of rest, blinkers on. Frankie Dettori got good figures. I mean, I just thought 2 back, the race at Santa Anita was a little too far. Now I guess the mile and the 16th at Santa Anita on the dirt. I had trouble last time. So I like the idea of blinkers, put the horse in the race. And just think he might be the best horse if he runs his race.
The old best horse angle. We like that from time to time. That's interesting. That's a great point about the blinkers, maybe keeping him in touch. I was thinking Tarantino could be loose in here, but Dettori, very aggressive rider, probably not going to let that one too far out of his sights. Chappy, how about you? What numbers do you see on your tickets for this one?
I mean, I'm with Duke as far as my top pick, which is Katona. Obviously getting some class relief. This isn't the strongest bunch in the world, so that would clearly be my top pick, and adding the blinkers. A couple prices I thought that were semi-interesting in here would be JB Strikes Back, the 3-horse for Doug O'Neill, who seems to be getting better here, has gone 2 turns on the dirt lately. And another one is American Admiral, who's 3rd off the layoff on the rail at 12-1 on the morning line. This horse never seems to get bet. This horse ran some good races at Santa Anita back in the day, and I thought a couple of those were interesting. But Katona would be on top for me as well, along with Duke.
Before we move on to the next race, Duke, let me come back to you to ask you, in a bet like the pick six, were you serious about potentially using in different denominations 7 of the 8 here? Who would be the key backups for you?
So Katona would be an A, and Tarantino would be a close to A. Like you said, he looks like he's the controlling speed, and he certainly has the class to win this race. So he'd be like my second choice. And then I'd use horses like Express Train and Lamas. I think they'd be my B/Cs. And then obviously, if you can narrow down the rest of the way, you try to use an all here, because I think it's on a way smaller ticket. You know what I'm saying? So you take an all with some singles somewhere. Just to go to Chappy here, I didn't like the way Ashcroft worked. Did you watch the work on Ashcroft?
No. The one I watched, Eagle's Flight, absolutely destroyed. I can't wait till Eagle's Flight comes back. But on December 5th,
he destroyed Ashcroft. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Right.
I'm against Ashcroft altogether.
Okay. Eagle's Flight, that's the flight line, brother. What do you know the plan yet for that one, Chappy, when the return to the races is meant to be?
Well, it's funny, back in the day, I had taken some people back to John's barn, and this was probably 4 or 5 months ago, and I showed them Eagle's Flight, and John had mentioned, well, hopefully we're going to be ready for opening day at Santa Anita. So I wasn't sure what race that meant. Now the horse has been working regularly, but obviously not entered today. So I'm assuming we are going to see him very, very soon, because as Duke said, he worked really well on the 5th, and that was 5 furlongs. He's had multiple 5 furlong works now. So he should be ready to go here, I would think, in the next week or 2.
Sadler can certainly be trusted implicitly when it comes to carefully spotting members of that family. Be very interesting when that one comes back, for sure. Let's go to race number 7, Santa Anita, of course, in the shadow of the San Gabriel Mountains. We've got the grade 2 San Gabriel up next, a 1 1/8 on the turf. field of 9 going postward here. I suppose the big question is, do you fully believe in Johannes? Is he a single type horse for you, Chappy, or do you think it could be a little bit more complicated than that?
I mean, look, I 4 to 5 in the morning line. I can't stand singling a big favorite. It's going to be very hard to beat Johannes, in my opinion. The horse is 6 for 6 at Santa Anita. Maybe you might say a mile and an eighth this horse is better as a miler, but he always gets a nice stalking trip. I just think he's clearly the best horse, and would be my only A. If we went to some B's, probably in order, I like the way Seal Team is doing. Obviously, Mi Hermano Ramon ran very well last time out. And another horse that is Astronomer, who at a big price always seems to get left alone at the windows and can jump up there and run a big race. But I think Johannes is a single here myself. And I'm going to take the easy route here. I don't know what Duke will think, but very tough to beat.
Duke, you and I watched that Eddie Reed together at your birthday party at the bowling alley. And I remember going into the race, we had some question about a mile and eighth for Johannes. With that easy trip, easy pace, he got the job done. Is that possibly a chink in the armor here, or is he just the best horse and he's going to win?
Well, he's definitely the best horse. I didn't know about the mile and an eighth that day, and I don't know if he proved that he could get a mile and an eighth the way that race went. But he might do the same exact thing. There's not a lot of a different kind of race here. That's the problem. I was hoping for somebody that would just blast out of there or something that make him do something different. But if he can stalk a horse like Cabo Spirit, or, I don't see much other speed in this race. Maybe Dicey Mochara is not quick at this distance. So I think you're just going to see Johannes stalking Cabo Spirit take the lead, and somebody's going to have to come get him. So in that case, my only horse that I think that can do it is Easter. And if Easter can come back to a race, of a year ago, Easter's the one that can beat him. That's the only possibility, I think.
In terms of how you'd approach it from a wagering point of view, is it Johannes is an A and Easter is a B? Would you try to use Easter more than just at B level for the value he'll represent? How are you thinking of approaching it?
Well, I mean, you beat Johannes in a pick 6 and you're getting 10 times, the amount. So, I mean, you don't have to play as much with a horse like Easter. So you try to play a bigger ticket with Johannes and then a smaller ticket with Easter. But you're going to get so much more if Easter beats him. So that's the way I look at it. My
only problem, Duke, with Easter is just, like you said, from a pace standpoint, and Easter never breaks, right? And I mean, he's going to be so far back in a race that looks like they're kind of going to crawl on the front end. That was my only knock against Easter.
Yeah, I agree. I just quality wise, I don't think they've proven they almost can't beat, Johannes.
Right.
Seal Team, I don't think is good enough, especially when outside post. I guess Mi Hermano Ramon is on the improve, and the way Glatt starts out at these meets, maybe he'd be my third choice. So Hector Barrios knows how to get a horse, to the rail and wait, and maybe he can somehow pop out and beat Johannes. But I don't see it happening, really.
Pete, the only real quick, I thought Seal Team was a little interesting, being lightly raced, 3 for 3.
I like him too. I like him too a little bit, Chappy. I thought, that was a classic sort of move into a fast pace angle last time, third off the layoff, patient barn. And he's just from more or less different sets of form lines. I thought he was a little bit interesting. I mean, Duke makes a good point about the post isn't going to do him any favors, and he could end up with a wide journey in there. At the price he'll be, I'll take a little chance. But I mean, Johannes is on every single ticket, isn't he? I mean, he's just supposed to win. But I think we all none of us want to just completely concede, and we'll all try to get a little bit cute with some of those other horses. And I think Duke made the key point. When we talk about A's and B's, sometimes people will sort of reflexively make horses B's, giving up a lot of coverage, when maybe the better approach is what Duke said, where you just do a much higher denomination on a horse that's going to be bet the way that Johannes is going to be bet, but you keep the coverage and go for a minimum, $2 denomination if you're talking about pick 6, or shorter than that if you're talking about a bet like the pick 5 that starts there. And that way you still get all the coverage with your long shot. Let's move on, boys, to race number 8. the Malibu traditional opening day feature. I was reminiscing on another show with our friend Mike Probosi, that the first Malibu I have like a really strong memory of was Silver Charm back in 1997. Mike pointed out that was the last time, and this shocked me, but that was the last time the Kentucky Derby winner competed in the Malibu. Here we have Mystic Dan making his return to the races off his Triple Crown exertions, but he's certainly not the only horse here. The likes of Ben Tornado coming out of the BC Sprint, I thought he was sharp and in form and might have an advantage against these, but really excited to hear what you guys think. Duke, who's going to win the Malibu?
Who's going to win the Malibu? That's a good question. I'm going to go with Raging Torrent. I love the outside post. I love the fact that he had a one post in the Breeders' Cup, and I think he really just never got comfortable down there on the rail. And I just think it's going to be a whole different story here today with the Tory. Put him in the race, stalk whoever's out there, or maybe just take it all the way. But I think he'll stalk Ben Tornado, and I didn't love the way Ben Tornado worked at Santa Anita. I watched that this morning. He's definitely a quality horse, Ben Tornado, but I just think the way Raging Torrent was in form in the summer, he was just kind of just doing it so easy. I mean, just winning just so easily. And I don't see a horse like Mystic Dan. I don't even understand why they're running in this race, to be honest. I don't know. You might have more on that, Pete, but it doesn't seem like the right spot for me. But I don't know.
It's one of two things, and they both one makes more sense than the other. One is just old school thinking, start the campaign at 7 furlongs before heading over to those valuable races overseas, and like it's a prep race essentially. Yeah. And the other thought, and this I don't think will work even if he wins by 5, not that I see that happening particularly, but the other thought is maybe to try to throw their hat back in the ring for a 3-year-old divisional championship, because this race would count for that. But that's true. To me, still a little fanciful that would be enough to get past a runner like Sierra Leone, who was second in the Derby and then won the damn Classic. But winning a couple of restricted races probably doesn't quite do that. But those are my guesses. I don't think anybody expects him to be fully formed coming back to this race. I do want to just pause on, because I think you made a really interesting observation about Ben Tornado and the work. Just looking at a work tab, if you're talking about the December 19th race, 5:58, fastest to 40 at the distance, it looks good on paper. But this is why it's great to have the opinion of somebody like Duke, who's watched a billion races and a billion workouts. The fact that even though it was fast, there was something you didn't like about it. What was it you didn't like?
I didn't like the way he finished. He did go fast, but he was pushed to go fast. They urged him out of there. They were sending him out of there, and he just didn't finish like a horse that was going to go 7 furlongs from the rail. You break from the rail, they probably are going to send him, right?
Got to.
Luis Saez. Yeah, I just don't think he's going to take heat from a horse like Raging Torrent and be able to sustain that.
Chappy, what are your thoughts on this one? Are we wrong to dismiss the chances of Mystic Dan?
I don't like Mystic Dan either. And back to Duke's point about the rail horse, I didn't love that work either. It's such an advantage to be able to watch those on XBTV. And when people comment, the horse worked a bullet, he's working great. Well, unless you see it, that's a pretty tough comment to make. There was a horse, and I can't come up with it now, that worked 50 and change the other day on today's card, or excuse me, on opening day's card. And I absolutely love the work. And it's just how they do it rather than the time. So, but back to Mystic Dan. I'm against Mystic Dan in this spot. I think 7 furlongs, I just don't see it. I'm kind of leaning towards the outside 2 horses. I'm with Duke on Raging Torrent. Broke from the rail last time, now gets a nice outside post. Loves the 7 furlong distance, 3 for 4. I think can control the speed or just sit right off. And I think Stronghold at 8-1 is going to run a big race here. Got caught wide last time on the Pennsylvania Derby, and coming back to work very well. The work on December 1st was against One Magic Philly, who's running in this card as well, and worked very well. 1-for-1 at Santa Anita. So I'm kind of 7-8 here, the outside 2 horses in this race.
All right, you did a mean thing to us, but we're going to give you time to fix it. This horse whose work you like that worked the 50, when we're talking about another race, you're going to dig through your form and you're going to give that to the people. It's Christmas, Chappy. You're supposed to be, giving, not holding back here.
I can't remember. It wasn't in the sequel. I'll find it.
Yeah. No, I figured it was in the first 5 races, and we did have a good question from Chris about if you guys had any thoughts on those earlier races, which I did ask off air, and nobody had anything particularly strong. But Chappy apparently forgot about this one. But he'll come through in the clutch, and we'll get that before the end of the show. We will move on though for right now to the Grade 2 Mathis Mile on the turf course, field of 9, showing up here. And a race that I was just wildly uncreative in. I wanted to come up with something interesting, and I kept just gravitating back to the favorite and the second choice, with preference for number 5, Stay Hot, over presumptive favorite King of Gosford. Duke, we'll bring you back in and ask you if we can get a little bit more creative in this spot. What are your thoughts on race number 9 on open?
I'm going to help Chappy out here because I watched that work. That was Hope Road.
Yes. Hope Road.
Okay.
Hope Road.
So it is one coming up in races we'll be talking about.
That's correct.
All right, we'll put a pin in that, and we'll get back to
there were 2 of them. That was one. I got to find the
See how good I am for this show, Pete? I even know what Chappy's thinking.
He writes my notes too. Thank you.
Producing, he's giving tips. Who wins the Mathis?
I'm barely awake, and I even know what Chappy's thinking already.
That's a scary thought, Duke.
Yeah. He's thinking about his cat. That's what he's thinking about. This race here, going back, oh my gosh, this race is very, very difficult. King of Gosford is going to be completely overbet here. I have to take a chance against him. Not that I dislike King of Gosford, just that he's going to be just too low for me of a horse to single, so you got to find something somewhere. I'm going to take a shot with a crazy horse, Cathal. Cathal is a horse that's had some trips, and I don't know if he's going to get enough pace to run at, but I just think for the price and with Curlin's Chaos in there, he's going to definitely put the speed into the race. I don't love Cathal, but I think for the odds, I just think be 15-1 and a horse that's going to come flying, and I'll probably key him first, second, and third. It's probably not a pick 6 type single or anything like that, but it's a horse that I'm going to use first, second, and third, and key him with horses like King of Gosford and Stay Hot. That's probably where I'm at. 8 with the 1-5, and maybe throw in a few others and tries and stuff. But I think those are the 3 that are the main. They're the main 3, I think, in this race, and I think Cathal will get overlooked.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting runner at what should be a big price. What about you, Chappy? Are you with us on the top of the market, looking pretty strong here, and you have any other clever ideas to throw in?
I'm going to use a couple prices as well. I want to beat King of Gosford, and it might be tough to do. And I'll give you a couple prices. And I found one of the works. It's actually in this race. So I'm going to make a case for the 2, a Titlen, I believe is how you pronounce it. I think this horse is getting better, should sit just off the pace. I don't understand the ride the last time out. It wasn't like this horse was squeezed early. They just took him back. And I think I just don't get it, the plan going into that last race in the Hollywood Derby. I think this horse needs to be up close to the pace. Slightly race is improving. And I love Hector Barrios, other than that last ride, and maybe that was instructions. So I think that horse is interesting. The other horse I think is interesting at a big price is the 9 Lord Bullington, who's second off the layoff. That last race just looked like a prep. You go back, this horse has ran some big races against some good horses. And I did like the work quite a bit last time, which was 51 and change. Just a nice solo drill, but finished up very well. And I think this horse is sitting on a big race at 15-1. That was the work I thought was sneaky good. At where somebody else might look at it and say, 51, that's nothing. I just thought those 2 horses at a price could sneak up on us. And I've always been a Cathal fan as well with Duke. So I've got a few prices in here I'm using, trying to beat the chalk.
You'll play against the chalk here. Very bold. I like it. 2, 9, and 8 for Chappy. You did mention being sort of against King of Gosford in terms of the price, Duke, but included in your numbers. How would you approach that one from a wagering standpoint? Is that more of a, you'd use him just as another horse, or is that more something that you might look to, to press a little bit and have extra times the way we talked about with Johannes?
Well, I would key, I'm going to key Cathal. So I'm going to have a good 1-8 exacta. I'll probably have some kind of try with 1-8 with horses with 1-8. So I'll probably have that same thing with the 5-8 with horses with 5-8. Something along those lines. Exactas 8 with 1-5, 1-5 with 8. Pick 6 wise, probably use all 3.
More or less equally, as opposed to pressing, because you don't because of your fear about the horse not being value, but also not wanting to cut off your nose to spite your face and get beaten by an obvious horse if you're clever and right in other places. Is that about the size of it?
Yeah, because you get the value comes in if you use 3. I mean, the value comes if Cathal beats the other 2. You're already getting the value at he'll be 12, 15 to 1, right? So you're already getting 6, 7 times the price, in the pick 6. So just use all 3 in the pick 6. Bet the race, maybe back him up more, bet him to win and play him second and third, that kind of thing. So play a pick 3 where you single the 8, all kinds of little things you can do. I mean, you got the all turf pick 3 you can, fool around with. So there's lots of angles when you got horses that are 12, 15 to 1, a lot of things you can do with it.
For sure. Different levers to pull and different ways to leverage your opinion. And there are pools where you're probably much more likely to just completely leave out an overbet favorite who's still a likely winner in a bet like the pick 6, maybe leave in, like we said, and get the pool is big enough. The opportunity to make money is big enough. You don't want to be completely left out in the cold if that one gets in. Pair grade 1s to talk about to close out the card. They're both for 3-year-old fillies. We go next to the Brea, a race where we've already talked about the presumptive favorite, number 9, Hope Road. I thought this was an interesting race. I thought there were stories you could tell about a few of them. Chappy will throw the ball back in your court. What numbers will be on your tickets?
Well, this is one where I can't wait to hear Duke's opinion, because I've gone back and forth and could make a case for probably 8 of the 11 horses. There's a ton of speed. I don't know who's going, who's not. There's several Bafferts in here. My top pick would be Hope Road, because I did like that work the last time, and I think cutting back, this horse doesn't need to be on the lead. I like the outside draw, but I could make a case, like I said, for most of them. So I have very few horses I can toss. I don't know what accuracy is going to do down on the inside. Is she gonna go? Kinza the same. I thought Sandy Bottom ran a big race off the long layoff last time at 20 to 1. I'm confused on Tamara. I liked one of the works. I did not like one of the works. So I'm going to use as many as I can in this race. That's all I can say. I don't have a strong opinion whatsoever.
The work that you didn't like, was it the last one, or did you like the last one? I think that's an important fact.
Well, I guess I should say maybe in company. So I either didn't, it was the December 15th work. Maybe I didn't like it as much as I loved Big City Lights, who worked with Tamara and actually absolutely blew the doors off of Tamara. So whenever Big City Lights comes back, and that horse is about 3 times the size of Tamara. It looked like he could have eaten her at any time during just an absolute massive giant horse. I don't know if Duke watched that work or not, but it was very impressive.
I did notice that. That horse was huge.
Yeah.
City Lights is a big horse. Either that or Tamara is a small filly.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's one for the stable mail then. City Lights, was that the name of the horse? Big City Lights. Nice musical reference.
Very talented horse in his own right, but yeah, it was very impressive.
Let me pause and ask a couple of general questions, or at least one general question, Duke, before we hold your feet to the fire on the La Brea. First one is about how you're expecting the track to be playing. Chappy made a reference to, the accuracy maybe being a little bit stuck down on the inside and the big full field out of the chute. Are you expecting the rail to not be particularly good out of the gate here at the Santa Anita meet? Is it you don't have any idea? You just have to watch and see a few races and you don't want to make any judgments at this stage? I'm just curious if you have any hypotheses about how the track might be playing.
I hope it's playing even, but never does it? I don't know. I can't guess. I have to watch. So I'll watch race 2, which will be, a good inclination. Then I'll watch race 4. There's 2 sprint races. Get an idea before this pick 6 starts what's happening. But I don't remember anything big last year on opening day. I don't think it was biased. I should actually look at my notes since I have them right in front of me.
Hey, if you've got them, well, why not? We'll see what.
I might as well look.
At least you have notes. I don't.
I know that's something Mike Maloney, a fellow professional player, has like a bias book, and he'll notice that certain meets at certain times, weather depending, of course, can have patterns of bias year after year. Did you see anything?
I guess speed was good last year. 3 out of 4 of the dirt races went wire to wire, so I guess speed was good last year. I don't know about the rail or anything like that, but we'll see what happens. What a great race this is! I mean,
yeah,
this race might be better than the others. The Malibu. I don't even think you mentioned One Magic Filly, Chappy, which
I meant to mention. There's just so many. I could have gone. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of hers.
She's my top pick, Duke. You like her?
Yeah. One Magic Filly is my top choice, but I'm a little worried. She got drilled by Stronghold in that workout, which
she did.
Surprised me. She got beat pretty damn good too. Was pushed and beat, but maybe she's not a good workhorse. I don't follow all her works. So and that's her workmate too. She's always worked with Stronghold. So maybe she always gets drilled by Stronghold, which wouldn't be that bad of a thing anyway.
Older grade 1 type again, rising 4-year-old filly. He's supposed to outwork her on figures, right?
Right. Yeah. So I don't think it's that big a deal. That's my top choice. She had a horrible trip in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I bet her. I thought she would hit the board in that race at a good price, and she would have, I think, if with a little better ride. Now she gets Pratt. I think that's a huge, huge step up. I'm not a fan of Freysu. I think he's very, very overrated. There's a lot of horses here, though, and I got a story to tell about one of them. I was in Tahoe and walking around this village, and there's this little dog, this little long-haired dachshund, and my wife goes up to the dog and she starts petting, and it's cute and everything. And what's the name? The name's Sugarfish. And I said, Sugarfish? And she goes, yeah, the restaurant, Sugarfish. Sugarfish is a sushi restaurant out here in California. So I'm like, I think Sugarfish is running tomorrow at our Santa Anita. And I'm like, well, that's unbelievable. Who names a dog Sugarfish, right? So I have to like Sugarfish. And not only that, I got Sugarfish, coming out of the Breeders' Cup and was also on the rail, which I thought was not the place to be. So my exacta has to be One Magic Filly and Sugarfish. It just has to be.
Sugarfish, more than just a hunch play. I like the horse too. I thought it definitely has a live long shot look and probably should be every bit of that 10-1 on the morning line. What about Tamara? Where do you stand with her, Duke? I'm not letting her beat me. In the patient hands of Mandela. Wasn't fast in that allowance race, but you got to figure she was well short of fitness there. And an angle you taught me years ago, just the fact that she was able over this same distance to run that big figure she did as a 2-year-old. Now, once again, a rising 4-year-old. Feels like she runs back to that or improves off that. She's got a chance in here. And I don't know that she's going to catch her customary money with so many other ways to go. Are you a believer or is she a takeout reducer?
She's not a throwout, that's for sure. Mandela is a tough guy to read. Mandela sometimes throws these horses in these right to the wolves, but I don't know about this one. I don't like the fact that she got drilled in that workout by Big City Lights because she really got beat in the workout, like Chappy was saying. She got beat bad. That scares me. But on the other hand, she's definitely good enough, like you said, in her 2-year-old form. I mean, and that last race doesn't mean anything speed figure wise. That was a slow pace, short field. It was kind of a weird race. She ran solid in that race, which I wrote down, as my comment on her. So she'd be probably a third choice with horses like Kinza, maybe. I don't really like any of the other ones. I'm tossing the 1, 5, 8, I'm tossing Hope Road, believe it or not. 1-5-8-9. I'm tossing. So
Interesting.
I don't like Hope Road at all. I think Hope Road has been in spots that she just benefited from some situations that I got to go against as the favorite.
Interesting. The impressive workout notwithstanding, not going to be on your tickets. Fascinating race, this La Brea. Such an important race, too. Last chance for these fillies to get that coveted grade 1 black type against their own sex and generation. So you see them come out of the woodwork and turn up in here, and it leads to a fascinating handicapping puzzle. Hopefully we have it figured out for you. Let's go to the nightcap. The grade 1 American Oaks 3-year-old fillies once again going 1.25 miles. And I emphasize that because I think there is still some question, despite how impressive the QE2 was, about how far She Feels Pretty really wants to go. She's going to be on every ticket of mine. She's the fastest horse, but I'm not sure it's as simple as just her and go on with life in this spot. Chappy, are you with She Feels Pretty or against her in the grade 1 American Oaks?
Well, I've got to use She Feels Pretty. Kind of narrowed it down to 4 horses in here. The 2 obvious ones I think are She Feels Pretty and Catherine and Marissa. A couple of the local horses I'm going to use would be Medoro, who likes the Santa Anita turf and has never run a bad race, and Watchtower as well for Richard Baltus, who closed and had some traffic last time up and got up at the wire. So I'm in that order. I'm 8-4, 3-5, 8-5, 3-4, somewhere in that range. But those are the 4. The only other one it intrigues me a little bit is Chatalis. I don't know how you pronounce that exactly. Chatalis, with Pratt showing up, the one race on turf. This horse ran very well, and I think this horse is sneaky at 15-1. So I should say I'm 5 deep, and I'll throw the 10 in there as well.
One to mix in at least for verticals with that opinion. Let's get back to the favorite here, Duke. She Feels Pretty. JK and I argued about this on another show, with me, really not liking how she finished up in the Belmont Oaks. JK said, dude, it's not about how far she wants to go. It's the blinkers. She was unfocused. She acted goofy in the stretch. Cherie put the blinkers on, and she's a different horse. And she's now, the way she finished in the QE2 Cup, going to have absolutely no problem getting the 1.25 miles. I'm still worried about the impression she gave me a little bit earlier in her career about going farther, and also on blood, she feels like she could top out at a mile and an eighth type. And sometimes the 1.1 miles to the 1.25 miles, it's a big difference, a bigger difference than just the raw distance appears to be. On your stuff, what do you think? Can She Feels Pretty be just as good at the 1.25 miles as she was the last day at Keeneland? Because if she is, I think the rest are running for second.
Yeah, I mean, she's the best horse. There's no question there. The 1.25 miles is definitely a question mark. She may not get any cover, which might be, because she's going to be quick going 1.25 miles against these types. A lot of these are slow, so she's going to be up close. That worries me the most. Johnny V doesn't like, no, Johnny V and Pocket don't go together.
A 3-wide grinding trip. He's won a lot of big races with it, but it could be tricky here.
He sits 3-4 wide. That's trouble. You know what I mean? You can't go 1.25 miles and sit 3 wide at Santa Anita. I just know that. And Chappy can definitely tell you that. These horses, they win with either the pocket trip or an easy lead, or, they sit on the rail and they angle out. I think a horse that's going to do that, and who better to do it than Frankie Dettori? Kathy and Marissa is get the hottest trainer in the country. I mean, Dutro's gone back to like the year 2000 when he could never lose. Now his horses are running like that now. So I have to like Kathy and Marissa here. Already been further, one going further at Kentucky Downs. Just seems like this horse is just in the perfect spot here. I think she's going to get that forward inside trip from Dettori, and that's my top choice. And I got nothing against She Feels Pretty. I mean, she should have won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Santa Anita, last year. So she was the best horse there by a mile.
Any others, or is this more of a lockup 4-8 for you?
I can't see anybody else. They don't seem like they're fast enough. I mean, I'm going to use a horse in some tries and supers that probably will go off 40 or 50 to 1 named Mizion. Just because she had a horrible trip last time. And when she won, I thought she was super impressive. Shouldn't even have won that day. So, and Mike McCarthy's horses, they always run well. I mean, that guy is as good a trainer as anybody going right now. So, especially on grass. So I'm going to use him to get in the try.
The 11 at a big price to get up in underneath, trying to lock it up with the 4 and the 8 on top. I'm with you on, I see it very similarly on the top spot to you, though I will have to admit I've done several shows calling Catherine Marissa. I put an R in there. Apologies to connections. It's nothing personal. Very excited to get to watch these races. Will you be out there at Santa Anita on Saturday, Duke?
I'm not sure yet. I'm a little tired from the skiing, so
you may watch from the war room. And I said Saturday, of course, opening day.
If Chappy sends the helicopter over to my house,
what do you think? Can you get that? Can you get that arranged? Any chance of a jet plane from?
We're trying to fire up the jet. That's why I'm at the office today. I'm going to go check and see how everything's working. So I'm going to bring something. I got to get Duke out here opening day. Come on.
We'll also encourage. Let me just put in one.
I got to pull it together and go. I got to pull it together and get up there for opening day. I might show up a little late, maybe.
That's fair. You got time till you get to the stakes races. We should also put in a plug, Chappy, for the Express Bet tournaments. Robust schedule happening on there. expressbet.com/tournaments, the place to go and check that out. Anything else we should tell the people before we wrap this up and get on to our holiday festivities?
Just the last reminder, obviously, first post Pacific time is 11 a.m. on opening day. It's a little odd. So then noon on Friday, 11:30 on Saturday, and then back to noon on Sunday. So we added a race on Saturday, so we're at 11:30. But 11 o'clock, opening day, 26. Be there, Duke. I'm sending the chopper or the jet. Don't worry about it.
I'm hoping to get out there and see you guys this meet at some point. The Great Race Place, one of my absolute favorites, always fun. They'll take great care of you. SantaAnita.com to learn much more. We'll thank Duke one more time. We'll thank Chappy. We'll thank everybody who tuned in live while we were doing this on YouTube. That was great fun. Make sure you subscribe to the In the Money Media YouTube channel and click that notification bell so you never miss any of our content, especially our YouTube exclusive content, which we have a ton of. For Duke and Chappy and our friends at Santa Anita, I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. May you win all your Santa Anita opening day photos.